Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Now, when they came back to London, Pip retained Mr. Jaggers for Provis's defense. So he asked Mr. Jaggers to defend Provis. Mr. Jaggers was disappointed in Pip for not, making use of Provis's fortune before it could get confiscated. But Pip did not consider that to be important. Now, Compson's dead body was found on the river with notes indicating that he hoped that he would be rewarded from Provis's fortune. Provis' trial was set for a date that was 1 month ahead. Herbert reveals that he was being transferred to the branch of his merchant's house, which was in Cairo. Obviously, Pip was very well aware of it since he was the one making all those arrangements for Herbert because he wanted him and Clara to get settled. Herbert invited Pip to come and live with him and Clara and work at the counting office as a clerk. Pip was very, very thankful for that, but he said that he would need a lot of months to decide what he wanted to do, and he wanted to be with Provis, and there were a lot of thoughts which were there in his minds which he wanted to get settled first. Herbert said that he will soon marry Clara when Clara's father is dead, and was delighted by her lack of not just the title, but a family also. So he was just joking around that not only was Clara without a title, but she did not have a family also now. Now, later that week, Wemmick visited Pip to apologize for the fact that their plan had failed. He realized that Compson had planted everything so that Wemmick would overhear and would advise Pip to enact on his plan. Wemmick also asked Pip to join him for a walk on Monday, and the walk turned out to be, information about his wedding to Miss Giffens, which he had planned to seem completely spontaneous. So Pip was the best man for Wemmick, and aged Wemmick's father gave Miss Giffens away, that is, he was Miss Giffens' father. Wemmick asked Pip not to mention the wedding to anybody in the Little Britain. So you see, now that we are nearing the end of the story, all the characters are getting settled one after the other, except for Pip. Now, in the prison infirmary, since Provis was hurt, so he needed infirmary in the prison. So in the prison infirmary, Provis was sick and wounded, but he did not complain of anything. Pip stayed by his side as long as he was allowed to be inside the prison. Provis was found guilty of having run away from this New South Wales prison. The court procedures began and the death sentences were announced to him. In the court, Pip, and there were a large number of audience, a large number of onlookers. They saw Provis stand among 32 other men and women who were given the death sentence. The judge particularly called out Provis's name, describing him as one who had been offending the laws ever since he was born. Provis was described as the prisoner, and Provis responded by saying that I have received my death sentence from the Almighty, so I have no problem at all. After the sentence was announced, the audience rose so that they could leave and rearrange their clothes. And obviously, the proceeding came to an end. They tried to write a request to every authority to make sure, or to just try that they would rethink about the sentence that they had given to Provis, and hoped that Provis will die on his own before he was hung. Now the prison officer and the other officers were kind to Provis and they took care of him well. Provis died 10 days later when Pip was by his side. He was calm and was very thankful to Pip for being with him through his hard times. And the last words of Provis were that I don't complain of the pain that I am going through. And just before he died, Pip told Provis in his ears that his daughter is alive and is very well and that Pip loved her. Provis he kissed Pip's hand and thereafter he died in peace. Pip thought of how, the irony, how the fate of these two men were connected with each other throughout the story, ever since the beginning till the end. From being a young boy, when Pip found this man as a convict looking for a shelter and food, he helped him, and now being by his side in his last moments. Now, Pip was very much in debt, and after Provis's death, he fell ill himself. There were two creditors who came to his apartment to arrest him for the debt, but since Pip was so ill, he could not even move. He was having hallucinations. He was thinking about something or the other because of the fever. When he became conscious, weeks had passed and he found Joe to be by his side, who took care of him through his hard days. Pip was very ashamed of himself and felt that he did not deserve Joe's kindness, but Joe was the same the way he had been, warm and loving without any complaints or grudges. Biddy had taught Joe how to write and he updated Pip by writing on the slate. Joe updated Pip about the news in the village. Miss Havisham had died and left a large sum of money to Matthew Pocket. And she also stated that it was because of Pip that she realized that Matthew Pocket's character was actually worthy. Then she had left small amounts to the other relatives of her, and a large bulk of her fortune has been left for Estella. Orlick was in jail for robbing and for torturing Uncle Bumblechook. Pip and Joe spent the days, when Pip was trying to recover and they were together. Pip had lost all the pretense, whatever he was feeling, he had forgotten that by just the fact that Joe was around him. Pip did not know about Joe's recent affairs, and Joe was not aware of what Pip was going through recently about Provis or anything else. When he tried to tell him, Joe disregarded that and told Pip that Biddy has taught him not to think about some things which are unnecessary, which are only going to lead you in worry and tensions and nervousness. And he simply said that whatever happened, they will continue to be the best friends. When Pip got better, Joe obviously became less comfortable around him. And when Pip was weak, Joe called him Old Pip, old chap, as he would call him in his childhood. But the day Pip got strong enough to walk on his own, Joe again started calling him as Sir. Pip was very ashamed of his behavior that he had showed to Joe, and Joe was certain that Pip was nearly well. He left without saying anything, and Pip simply woke up to a note explaining that Joe did not wish to interfere in his life. In that letter was a note saying that he had paid off all the debts that Pip had. Whatever money Pip needed to pay off his debts, Joe had paid off them. and Joe paid money to people he did not even know, and he did not even know the reason why Pip was in debt. So this shows the true soul of friendship. Pip wanted to thank Joe as well as apologize to him, and he thought that now he was going to propose to Biddy to marry her. He wanted to marry Biddy because he's understood the goodness of the heart. Pip decided that he is going to work in the forge or anything that Biddy was around him, and after a few days he decided to go to the village. Now, this news that Pip had lost all his fortune had reached the village even before he himself came to the village. And the staff at the Blue Boar, they did not treat him well again. But Pip did not mind. Uncle Pumblechook, he also made, a great show of pitying Pip, he showed that he was very sorry for the circumstances that Pip was going through. But then he was feeling ungrateful and was again telling him that he has brought the faith that Joe had in him down. Uncle Pumblechook then proceeded to spread the rumor that Pip was ungrateful to Pumblechook's generosity. So Pumblechook had been the same even though the story had come to an end. Now Pip walked to the forge and he was very excited to be back. He was delighted to see the old landscape that he was familiar with. When he went home, he discovered that Joe and Biddy got married that morning. They were very happy to see Pip, and Pip congratulated them with all the love and affection, and they also thanked him. He told them that he is going abroad and will earn the money so that he can repay Joe whatever he done for him. Though even if he manages to pay the money, he will always be indebted to what Joe had done for him. He asked him not to tell their future child about Pip. So this is what Pip said to them. Pip moved to Cairo and he joined Clerical and Company as a clerk. He lived with Herbert and Clara, who married after the death of Clara's father. Now, years passed by and Pip became a partner in the house and he was able to repay his debts. He maintained very close relationship with Joe and Biddy, visited them regularly, unlike earlier. Now, gradually, the clericals also revealed that it was Pip who had secretly invested in Herbert, and Herbert was surprised and very grateful to Pip for what he had done to him. The firm continued to prosper, though it was not a very big profitable firm, but it was doing well, and Pip wondered how he could have ever doubted Herbert's ability. He should have known since the beginning that Herbert was certainly going to succeed in life. Pip did not return to England for 11 years. He came back to the forge one night in December and he found Joe and Biddy sitting very happily at the hearth. They had a son and they named their son Pip. Pip was getting famous as the little Pip now, and Biddy was basically asking Pip to get married, and when Pip said that he was settled now, being alone, he asked about Estella. Biddy asked about Estella, and Pip said that he does not know anything about her, neither does he have any sort of feeling left for her now. Still, secretly, Pip wished to revisit the Satis house for the sake of Estella. He had heard that he was separated from Brummel, who has died. Pip walked to the misty dusk up to the garden and was stunned to see Estella walking on the grounds. She too has never been back until this night. So she also came back this night. And though this place was the only possession that she was left with, she told Pip that she did think about him very often and regretted the fact that she did not regard his love for her. She said that after suffering so much in her personal life, she has finally developed a human heart. And then they started walking together in the mist, and Pip said that he saw no shadow of another parting from her. So this last line shows to us that Pip and Estella got together by the end of the story. So finally, after multiple trials and tribulations that Pip went through, he was finally able to get the love of his life. Each character in the story got settled in a peaceful manner. And with this, we come to the end of the Great Expectations. In the next lecture, my dear students, we are going to discuss the theme of the story as well as some important questions that are possible to be asked. So I shall see you all now in my next video. Thank you.